Hi guys, this is Craig here. Welcome back to Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop. I have all of the parts now trimmed. I get all the extra flash off and any mold lines that I can while they're still on the sprue. It's just easier to wash that way. So I get all the extra flash and mold lines off. All the parts, you can see. All of them here. Then I put them in a sink full of Dawn dishwater and let them soak for a little bit, 5 to 10 minutes, and then I just scrub them with a toothbrush in the dishwater. Just scrub them off to get any kind of mold release agent or anything like that off. So that's the first step. Now they're all clean. Then I'll do some sub-assemblies. In this case, almost the whole engine, because pretty much everything and everything I've looked at, this whole thing, the whole engine is blue, except transmission, which will be painted later, but pretty much everything's blue. I actually have to look and see about the valve covers. I can't remember. I think the valve covers mostly might be blue too, so I might have to strip those in the LA is Totally Awesome and get those on before I paint that, prime that and paint that. The air cleaner, part of the ram air cleaner there, that gets painted blue. I got the rear end here. The leaf springs go on it too, but I'm not going to do that yet. I just glued these two pieces together, and that's that. And I just use a toothpick to hold the parts on to prime and paint. High budget stuff here, high dollar stuff. And the seats and seat backs. I got the seats and seat backs on, and I ground down, sanded down where they meet, so there's no lines right in there that's not in the actual car. So I do all that stuff first, get them ready for priming and painting. Those are the regular parts, and I divide it up into what I'm going to use for primer. Most of this stuff's going to be black primer or the choice red oxide primer, red brown primer actually for Res. The body's going to be red brown, and then I might do a few other parts red brown because it doesn't really matter. Most of the rest of everything's going to be black anyways, so that'll cover over the red brown. Getting to the body, and we see the hood here. I've actually already started priming this before I decided to make this video. I did the inside underneath the hood, but there you see the rest of the hood. That'll get primed in the same red brown primer. And the body. So the body for the prep is, once again, sand down all the mold lines. There's not that many on here, just a little bit up here that you gotta sand off the mold separation lines. Then a little bit on the front fenders and the back here. So that's it on this one. And I deepen the panel lines. I actually use more high-tech gadgets here. I use a dental pick to start with. I've done a tutorial on this, but I'll refresh. I just take the dental pick and scribe about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times just to get a nice little groove. And then I use the back of a number 11 X-Acto blade on my little knife holder here, blade holder. And once again, you just groove it like that 10, 12, 15 times until you think it's deep enough. You know, you don't have to cut all the way through, but just till you think it's deep enough. That's how I do it. I don't have a panel scriber. There's a couple of brands out there that make them. Tamiya does, and I can't remember the other one, but they're out there. I just use the dental pick and the back of a number 11 X-Acto blade. So I do the trunk, I do the door lines and anything, any other door line, any other lines that you would do. And also on this one, there were some molded in like gill vent type right here that was molded in, and I went ahead and filed and sanded those down. Don't really have to, but I went ahead and did it on both sides. I just took a file and then I sanded them down. Just a little bit of a cleaner look on this particular one. You can leave them on this car, whatever, doesn't matter. That's just what I did. Okay, so I'll come back and show all the parts with primer on them in just a few seconds. Okay, so before we get started, I use Res primer, and a couple things I want to touch on with this. It is water-based, okay? That means anything water-based has a tendency to dry a little bit, especially around the lids and stuff like that. So what I use as a precaution is I use glycerin, okay? This is a 4-ounce bottle, so I will use 3 or 4 drops of glycerin. That's all you need. It helps keep your airbrush tip from drying, which causes a problem, and it helps slow down the drying process just a little bit, and it helps level while it's drying. It helps it level a little bit. Okay, and another thing is with water-based paints, always use a strainer for that reason that it dries. Okay, I have a little dinky strainer that fits into my airbrush cup, but for now this one will work. It's just a small strainer. You get these on Amazon. Just look for a micro strainer or a mini strainer, something like that. Okay, so just real quick, that's what I do with my Res to save any headaches or anything like that, is just keep it from drying. So if you're using a 2-ounce bottle of this, which they make also, 2 drops, all you need. Works great from my experience. Okay, so I got the body all in primer now. As you can see, Res red brown primer. Goes on pretty smooth. Looks pretty good. Into the hood. Lays down nice and smooth. What I'll do in a little bit is I will take a look at everything and see if there's any little spots, and maybe take some 1500 or 2400 grit sandpaper and just give it a quick little dry sand to smooth it out if needed. You see the frame and suspension chassis part and some of the other parts, the firewall and all the radiator support stuff. This is going to be black, so I'm really not worried about 100% coverage. You never know on some of this stuff. The leaf springs, the drive shaft and the exhaust, the manifolds and everything, and some suspension parts. Okay, and now some of you are going to ask or have questions or say something about painting things on the sprue tree. Well, there's a lot of talk about that. Okay, when I prime stuff with primer, I don't really care. It's not going to be the color. Okay, so it doesn't matter if you have to trim that off and you leave a white spot there. Whatever you paint, you use to color stuff like this, you're never going to notice that it was like that. Okay, now the main reason is to separate all the parts. I don't have enough space to do that, for starters. I just don't. I don't have enough of these clips or enough places to put them, to stand them up, to do every single part separately in the same color. Now, Now that they're primed and ready to paint, yes, I will separate most of these pieces from the sprue tree. The exhaust, I will probably just leave that little bit on right there and snip the rest off, and just so I have something to hold on to right there while I paint it. Okay, the leaf springs, they're gonna get painted black. Okay, when you separate them from the sprue, you just take a little piece of paint and touch it up. It's no big deal. It's easier for me to do it that way. It's just easier, okay? You have these people say, oh, you're doing it wrong. Well, you know, the only wrong and right way to do things is whatever feels comfortable for you. Whatever you're most comfortable with and works best for you is the only right way for you to do it. Okay, stuff like body parts and stuff, very important stuff, yeah, like the hood and everything, I'm separating that from the sprue before I do anything else. For all these other parts, no big deal. So those are all the red-brown primer parts. Okay, so now we go to the parts that I painted in Steiner Res Black Primer. You have the differential, the rear end. And you have the wheel backs and inserts, steering wheel, disc brakes, interior parts, the console, the back seat, the dashboard. I may yet do that stuff in Createx opaque black. I just like the way it looks and how smooth it looks after it gets sprayed, so I'll probably do that. We have the interior tub. That will be, I will have some black embossing powder for the carpet. Some more parts, the hoses. It's going to be the windshield washer, pump there, mechanism, louvers, the Cobra jet intake, the door panels. Like I said, the door panels, the louvers will probably be done with the Createx, like the seats, and the interior tub. And here are the seats. So probably Createx black on those yet. So that's everything in black primer. And now we'll go to white primer. The white primer parts, and just a few of them. The engine, which is not holding still here. I actually just painted that, so about 5 minutes ago, so it's just now getting dry. Steiner Res dries fast. All this will be painted blue. That's why I wanted the white primer with it. The blue show up better. And then the air cleaner for the Cobra jet engine. That'll be blue as well. Okay, so that's everything in primer. And that's how I do it. Like I said, all these things, yeah, you're gonna have these connect points right here. Before I spray it in the Createx, I will separate it from the sprue. Okay, it's just the easiest way for me to do things. Like I said, no right way, no wrong way, and there's no one way to do things. Your way is the best way for you, so that's the right way. Sure, you can try other methods, I would suggest it, but whatever works for you. Okay, so we're going to end that here. My next video, I will show painting the rest of the parts with the Createx black and any other black that I'll use. I'll use this black for the suspension and stuff here, so I'm not using my good Createx for that. And then I will show you how I mix and spray this apple barrel craft paint. what I use to mix it with, thin it with, and how I spray it. That'll be in my next video, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching Stumpy Grump Scale Speed Shop. I'll catch you next time.